Earlier this year in the House of Lords, the 38th Earl of Devon was talking about his ancestry extending back to the time of the Norman invasion. And a Welsh Lord, Kevin Brennan from Labour, got up to point out that he too came from a very long line of parents. And the point I'm making is everybody was once an SME. And this is an important point that is often overlooked. In the City of London, which I went to in 1984, and Big Bang was 1986, many of the firms weren't even there, and most of them were SMEs. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs didn't even have an office in the city in 86. Citigroup moved to the city in 86, etc. Over 40% of the NASDAQ is comprised of 6 companies. Microsoft, 50 years old. Apple, 49 years old. NVIDIA, 32 years old, Amazon, 30 years old, Google, 26-year-old, and Meta, 21 years old. And these were all SMEs within that period. In the City of London, we have Shazam, Revolut, Oaknorth, Darktrace, the unicorns. So my first bit is everyone was once an SME. Second point I'd make is, as Lord Mayor of the City of London, we have an intense interest in SMEs. We have recognized this many, many years ago. 2% of the UK's working population generates 8% of GDP, and it is not just finance. It's about 35% finance. It's about 45 to 50% science, engineering, and technology, and then a raft of other industries. So we are actually an SME engine in the sense that of the 24,000 businesses in the city, 23,750 are SMEs. I myself run an SME. So we're very much an SME engine. Another point I might like to make, having traveled to 25 countries over 100 days last year and doing quite well this year, and delighted to be here at the home of democracy. Nevertheless, I got a lot of questions, obviously, even 9 years on, about Brexit. Well, 2 facts. Firstly, our workforce is also our voters. We're the world's oldest democratic workers and residents cooperative, dating back to about 640 AD. Holding continuous elections since that period. But at the time of Brexit, we had 525,000 workers. When I took office, we had 615,000. And when I left office in November, we had 678,000 workers. It was very important. Brexit hasn't been a problem for us. For the UK, it's a different affair. The second point I'd like to make is that global assets under management grew from 11% to 13%, and 2% of global assets is a very important number. On to item 3, what is the problem as I see it? Well, the problem with growth has been well outlined in Draghi, and Matteo did a very good job earlier. I don't want to replicate it, but I think we haven't spent enough time looking at the percentage of GDP taken by government and taken by the state. The 2 things that prevent SMEs from growing are complexity. We often refer to it as regulation. Actually, it's more often complexity, and regulation is frequently concerned, if you talk to SMEs, with taxation and employment law. But this is important. If you're dying of thirst, you don't start constricting the faucet. You don't turn off the tap. You try and flow it. But the second one is based around a story. Last year, the Department of Business and Trade wanted me to gland hand a pharmaceutical firm that had 25 people and just had a $750 million investment, which would grow to 500 people. They came to see me and they said, they're not thinking of setting up in Britain. I said, well, obviously, they'll be setting up in Switzerland or Singapore. They said, how do you know that? Well, they've got the pharma skills there, but Switzerland is 32% of GDP taken by the state. Singapore is 20%. And these are numbers you'll hear from the lips of Singaporean leaders if you talk to them. UK, 44%, Greece, 50%, France, 57%, Italy, 54%. Is this where you want to be at? So if you want to have a crisis, we have one. And I think we should be focusing very much on that number. Now, this is not to be anti-government, but I'm just trying to point out there are no magic money trees in this area. We really need to improve the product. And that means obtaining extremely good value for government money. Government can do many things to help SMEs, but I would argue it really needs to focus on education, healthcare, the environment, and how we handle the disadvantaged and the elderly. That is the environment that SMEs need. And I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share those prejudices.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.